Okay, so it's just Elena and I here tonight. For some reason, we got messed up on the announcement, but I'll go through the lesson and anyone, so that anyone can see it. So last time we were going on the Keith count and races and the cubing decisions on racing. And I introduced a Keith count, and there's a Keith count adjustments that you do and a Keith count methodology that has a formula that tells you when to double, when to take, and when to drop and when to not double. So, and we went over the and the Keith count formula is one formula, and so that makes it simpler from that respect. But in another respect, it's a more complicated formula. So I gave that, and I showed where that is. I can show it again on XG if you have it. It's under Analyze Racing Formulas, and there are a bunch of different formulas. So the Keith count is one, and the formula is here. And if you want to understand or know what the formula is, that's one way to find it. And then if you want to know what XG had calculated as Keith count formula, that's it. It does not have the what I call the rule of 62. And the rule of 62, it's where 62 is the person on roll, the person who's considered doubling. If you have 62 or more, and when we talk about 62, I'm talking about your Keith count, your adjusted pip count, or your Keith count of 62 or more, you're going to follow one formula. And if it's less than 62, you'll follow another formula. If it's exactly 62, either one, you follow either one, and they're the same result. So, today we'll go over the rule of 62 when you're less than 62. Before I do that, let's just recall the adjustments for the Keith count. And so the adjustments, you start with pip count, and then you're going to make an adjustment for any checkers more than one on the ace point, and the adjustment is +2. So in this case, our pip count is 22, and I've got 3 on the ace point, so I'm going to add 6 to make it 28 as our Keith count. Pip count is 22, Keith count is now 28. If there's more than one checker on the deuce point, 2 point, then you're going to add 1 penalty point, one point more. So I've got 6 for the deuce, 1 for the 6 for the ace, 1 for the deuce. That's 28, and then 29. Any checkers more than 3 on the 3 point, you'd also add a point. We don't have that in this case. Anytime you have an open 6, 5, or 4 point, that's also an extra point. So here we've got 22, 6 for here, that's 28, 1 for here, 2 is 29, 30, and 31 for the open 5 and 6. So that would be the Keith count we'd use when we're doing a racing formula. Now I think this was like this to start with. So that's the basic idea. Now, the formula for under 62 is here in this document, and I will have again put that this is already in the share drive. So it's a little bit more complicated, but we're going to so we're going to start with the Keith count, and again the point of this is to calculate the doubling window. So if you recall the doubling window, there's something called here point last take, which is the point at which the receiver cube, if you're at that point or lower, you're going to take. If you're over that point, you're going to pass. And then 3 pips earlier is where the doubling window opens. Oops. Not so good at this drawing, but so this is 3 pips. So that part remains the same. The long count and short count is the doubling window is 3 pips. You're going to double if your opponent is at or above the point at where the doubling window opens, and your opponent should pass if he's over the point of last take. And again, then obviously sides are reversed. If your opponent is doubling you in a short race, you're going to pass if you're over the point of last take, and you're going to take if you're below the point of last take. So the formula is we're going to take our count, subtract 5, and then divide by 7 without rounding. So this is a little more complicated than the long formula. The long formula, if you remember, it's your Keith count plus 10% plus 2 was the point of last take, and 10% minus 1 is where the doubling window is open. So in this case, it's more complicated. We're going to do the count, although we're dealing with smaller numbers. So because you're under 62, we're going to take the smaller number, subtract top 5, divide by 7. That number we're going to add to our Keith count, and that's the point of last take. And then three pips earlier than that is the point of where we open the doubling window. Okay, so that's obviously a little more complicated, but let's do it for this case. So we look at this, we're at 20 pips. We're going to add two for the checker on the ace point. We're going to add 1 for the checker on the deuce point, and we're going to add 2 for the open 5 and 6 points. So we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to have 25. That's our count. That's our Keith count. We're going to subtract 5, divide by 7. So we're going to have equals 20 over 7. That's 2. We're not going to round up. We're not going to round at all. So we're going to add 2. So the point of last take is equals 25 plus 2 equals 27. Okay, so now what does Black have here in this situation? Okay, so his Keith count is 19. I'm sorry, his pip count is 19. The adjustments to the Keith count are 2 here and 2 here, so 4. So that's 23, 24, and 25. Okay, so we have a point of last take at 27, and 3 pips earlier that is 24. Okay, so that's the doubling window is 24 to 27. Black is at 25. So this makes this a double and a take, which is what it is. Now, if we move this up 1, this gets a little tricky. But if Black goes up 1, Black's count is now 24. This is still a double and a take. Now it's a little bit trickier to go up 2 because we add penalty. So if we if we go here, we're subtracting the pip and but adding a penalty pip. So we didn't change the key count. We're still at, we're at 17 plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're still 24. Oh, I guess. Well, anyway, it gets trickier. So we can't quite get it. So let's do. Move this back here. And so now we're at 20, 24, 25, 26. We need to, this is 21, 25, 26, 27, okay, 27. So this should be still a double and a take. Oh, it's a pass. Okay. 21, 4, 5, 6, 27. Okay. So yeah, so this is, in this case, this is right within a pip or so. So the point of last, so if you're at the point of last, if you're at this, at the point of last take, you would have dropped, or you would have taken this, and it would be an error. It would be a pass. But again, it's still pretty close. If you did this, probably not. This one, okay. Well, let me go. So let's go through another example. Let me erase this other stuff. Okay. All right, so Elena, you want to try this one?
No, I've taken this lesson before and it eludes me. So I'm still gonna listen, if
Okay,
that's okay.
so we'll go through the method. First thing to do is to key count. So we're going to start with the bottom yellow here. We have a pip count of 29. We have penalties of 4 checkers on the ace. That's 8 pip penalties, so we're up to 37. Nothing here, nothing here. 38, 39. 39 is our key count. Now the formula is subtract 5 and divide by 7 and add that to get to the key count to get the point of last take. So we're going to take 39 minus 5 is 34. Divide by 7 is 4. Equals 43, which equals the point of last take. Okay, which means that the doubling window is 43 to 40. Okay, and now what does that mean? Well, that means that if black in this case has 44 or more, black should pass. If he's got 39 or less, yellow should not double here. Okay, so what does black have? Well, black has a pip count of 29 to start with. No penalties here, but a penalty of 1 here, 2 and 3 here, which is gives him 32. 32. Which means that yellow should not be doubling here. I wonder if I, boy, that's not even close. Must have done something wrong on the count here. 28. Oh, okay. This, whoops. I did the count wrong here. So we got 20, 28, 29, 30. I don't know how I counted that, 30. Divide by 4. I'm sorry, subtract 5 is 25, divide by 7 is 3. And so that's 33. So it's 33 to 30. Yeah, if you don't do the math right, obviously this doesn't work very well. So, and that, that's the problem. You really just have to sit there. The way that I learned this was I got the, sat down with this formula, with a piece of paper, and then just practice this. And then every time I came up, if I'm playing online, anytime it comes up the game, I would have this handy and practice it. And that's the only way to learn. And so here, can't read this word, but the window is actually 33 to 30. Black has 32. That makes it a double and a take. Okay, so sorry for messing that one up. That hopefully didn't confuse people too much, but okay, we'll do one more and call it a night. Okay, so let's go through it again. Hopefully we'll try to do the math right. Start out with 38 and add the adjustments for the key count. So we've got 1 for the checker on extra checker on the ace point. That's a 2 pip adjustment. Nothing for the deuce, nothing for the 3. A hole here on the 5 point, and that's a 1 pip adjustment. So we've got 2 and 1, so 3. So 38 plus 3 is 41. That's the Keith count. To figure out the point of last take, we're going to subtract 5 from 41, which gives us 36. We're going to divide by 7, no rounding, or it's really truncated. So that gives us 5. We're going to add that. And that's going to give us 46, which is equal to the point of last take. And so our doubling window is 46 to 43. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is, okay, what does black have? And so we're going to start with what's the black's Keith count. And so black has 44 pips to start with. No penalty, no adjustments for the ace, none for the deuce, none for the 3. 4, 5, and 6 are filled. No adjustments. So black is at 44. 44 falls within the range. It's over the doubling windows where it starts. It's under where the doubling point last take. So this should be a double and a take. And it looks like I've already calculated it here. And then we can go, just to see how accurate it is, we can adjust black's count. Since black has no penalty, it's just the pip count. If we move 1 here, now black is at 43. That should be a double. That should be a double and a take. And it's right on the cusp there. And then if we're a pip earlier, now black is at 42. The doubling window opens at 43, so this should not be a double. And it's a no double. And this is very accurate. This is like 0.03 difference between that, just moving that 1 pip. Now, if we adjust black to 45, 46, which is just the pip count, this should be barely a take. It is a take. If we add another pip to 47, this should be a pass, and it's a pass. So now I found that This method isn't quite, I think, as accurate as for the longer races, but it's still pretty accurate, and certainly better than guessing. So, you know, and this case was probably selected because it works out exactly right. So it's not always the case, but it's a very good method. Certainly better than trying to guess at what's going on here with you know, the different counts and that sort of thing, the pip count alone is misleading. So, you know, this, even though here black is up by 7, I guess maybe this one was, black is up by 5. This is barely a double, and here black is up by 4, and it's not a double. Anyway, that's the lesson. Any questions?
What about when you have, what about if you had a bunch of checkers stacked on your 1, 2, and 3, and they had 2 checkers in their outfield? Like, say you were playing, you know, a back game and somehow things got hit.
Yeah.
So could you still use that? Yeah, stack and maybe put one on the 3. And then, you know, put like a black checker on the 12 and like the 15.
Okay. So, right here, or?
Yeah, that's fine. Something like that. I mean, could you still use this for?
Yes. Yeah, you would. Yes, you would use it for this. I haven't actually looked at it for this. Yeah. So what happened here? I mean, this could actually show up is that if you had like a coup classique situation where you're left with, and then yellow, you know, gets both checkers and they're both in the bar, and now it's the only 2 checkers left and yellow's bearing off. So let's look at this case. There are some adjustments that I do, but let's see what this one says. 16 to 22. So get the drawing here. So we're at 16, but the penalties are 6. Well, okay, so actually black, well, it's meant to, so anyway, so 6, I mean, white, yellow here is 16, and 6 penalty points for here. 6 is 22, 2 for the 2 is 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay, black obviously has no penalties.
So they don't have penalties.
These 3 here for being open. So black is at 25.
Well, 28 in the outfield plus 3 more, right?
Well,
oh, I'm sorry. The points.
22 plus 3.
Yeah.
Let's see, 20,
12
25.
and 10.
Yeah. So already we know yellow is out of the range. So 25, 27. So yeah. So we're going to add this to get the point of last take and subtract 3. So 27 minus 5 is 22, divided by 7 is 3. So the range is 30 to 27.
Okay.
So that's, you know, that's a no double. In fact, okay, now let's put black on the roll. And black is 25. So 25 minus 5 is 20, divided by 7 is 2. So for black, if black is on a roll, the range is 27 to 24. Okay, and yellow has 27. So this should be, this is double, okay, yeah. There's an adjustment that I use for very odd situations like this. And the reason that this is not a take, even though the formula says it is because of the number of checkers that yellow still has. So an adjustment that I use for this, I don't think I have it here on my sheet. I guess I can put it there. Probably should. Is that there's also a penalty if you have if there's a difference in the number of checkers off. So in this case, black has 13 checkers off and yellow only has 6 off. So that's 7. And so what I would do is say black or yellow is not 27, it's actually 34. I guess 30, what did I say? 13 minus 6, 7, plus 7 equals 34. Okay, and so that makes this a huge pass. Let's look at making that adjustment. So 27, so let's take some off for yellow. Let's see how that does. Get rid of this stuff. So black is still at 27 to 24 in the range. And let's figure out what yellow is. So yellow's got 14 for the pip count, plus 2 is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, 21, so that's below the range. Oh, 21, I forgot what I was trying to tell you. And we've got 8 checkers off versus 13 checkers off, so plus 5. Equal 26. Okay, so this should be double and a take, and it's a pass. Okay, it's close. Let's put this here. Oh, we're going to actually, these become harder to adjust because of that. So it's a little bit off here, but let's try this one. 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18, and the difference checkers off is 4, so 22. 22. So this should be a take.
Well, it's under the window. 22 is under his 24, so it's
yes. So yes,
actually not a double.
I'm sorry. It's yes, it's no double. Let's try to. If we add here, we're going to add a 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 5 is 26. So this should be close. Okay, that's close. Yeah, so you can still use this. This is an area where it's not quite. It doesn't quite work as well. But the thing that's missing here is you've got to adjust for the number of checkers off, and which makes a big difference here. I suspect that 1 is probably not exactly the right point. I haven't gone and figured out this because this situation happens so infrequently that it's usually pretty clear where you are.
Well, it happened to me last night, and I ended up doubling as white, and I got beavered, and then I rolled doubles and got lucky. And, it was, I just.
Yeah, there may be better ways of looking at it. At this, one of them would be like crossovers. So black has, crossovers are. So black has 4 crossovers here, and yellow has 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crossovers. So anyway, I haven't worked that out either. But you know, you could. So these are a little trickier. The formula doesn't work quite as well here, and you know, I don't have a better method at the moment, which is, you know, I guess it's best just to remember that this is kind of outside the scope of this, you know, of the short method for the Rule 62. But you know, it gives you some, you know, something to put around it. I mean, if you took this is not a bad, you know, this is not a terrible take for yellow. You know, it's a 0.06 error, so it's and you know, the formula gave it as a take, but you know, and I suspect that the adjustment for the number of checkers off is the key here, and I generally use 1, but it may be slightly more than, it looks like it's slightly, you know, it's, you know, maybe it's you know, 1.2 or something like that. Because if you had 1.2, we've got what, 5 checkers off, that would be 6. Maybe it's 1.4 or even 1.5. If it was if we did the adjustment 1.5 instead of 1, then the extra 5 checkers would be a 7.5 pip penalty, and we'd be at 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 28.5. So the penalty is probably more than 1, but mostly when we're doing this, we're talking about a difference between 1 or 2 checkers off, and so the 1 is a good approximation. But when you're getting down to, you know, so few checkers off, it gets into a little nitty gritty, and you know, the 1 adjustment just doesn't quite do it.
Right. Well, my weakness is a backgammon too, so I like to play a backgammon. So I know most backgammon players aren't in a situation like this, but I
Yeah.
tend to be sometimes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, more
Well,
often than some.
These are fun ones, and you know, I've never heard of a methodology that works specifically on this issue. But anyway, okay, so that is our lesson, and for today I'll stop the recording, and